Hello everyone, this is Untitled Turkish Press Counselor in Beijing, and on behalf of the Directorate of Communications, I welcome everybody to this webinar. Today, we have a webinar titled Prospective Cooperation Between Turkey and China on the 4th anniversary of July 15 failed coup attempt. So in this webinar, what we aim is our main aim to commemorate the 4th anniversary of this July 15 coup attempt from Turkish and the Chinese perspectives. And we also would like to have a better understanding on July 15 and its effect not only on Turkish politics, also as well as international politics and Turkish-Chinese relations. With the aim to reach this goal, we have 4 distinguished speakers who will provide better understanding, better insight from different dimensions, different perspectives. Now, I would like to introduce these distinguished speakers. Firstly, His Excellency Ambassador Emin Öner, Turkish Ambassador in Beijing. He will deliver a keynote speech. Then Professor Goa Changang, Director of the Center for Global Studies at Shanghai University. He will address about the foreign interventions in the Middle East, Turkey's July 15 experience. Then we will go to Istanbul and talk with Professor Çağrı Erhan. Is rector of Altınbaş University, also a member of Presidential Foreign Policy and Security Committee. Professor Erhan will address about FETÖ as a global terrorist organization. And after that, we will come back from Istanbul to Shanghai. And Professor Li Yu from Department of History of Shanghai University, he will talk about Turkish-Chinese relations, as well as Belt and Road Project, and so on. So this is the basic guideline of the project. Now, I would like to invite His Excellency Ambassador Emin Öner to deliver his keynote. Ambassador, please welcome. Floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Ali. Professor Go Changang, Professor Li Yi, and Professor Mr. Çağrı Erhan from Turkey. Ladies and gentlemen, first of all, I should start express my sincere appreciation to the Directorate of Communications of the Presidency of the Republic of Turkey for sponsoring this important webinar, as well as the Center of Global Studies of the Shanghai University for its valuable contributions. 4 important years have passed since the 15th of the July coup attempt carried out by the FETÖ terrorist organization. This heinous act constitutes the deadliest terrorist attack that Turkey has ever experienced. Fethullah Gülen, who is the leader of the FETÖ terrorist organization, is the mastermind behind what happened in Turkey on July 15, 2016. Gülen and his followers planned and tried to capture the Turkish Republic on that day. His disciplines within the armed forces did not shy away from using lethal military force against the innocent civilians, killing 251 and wounding thousands. They tried to assassinate the President of the Republic of Turkey. They attacked the Prime Minister vehicle and air bombarded the Turkish Grand National Assembly. The presidential complex, the buildings of the National Intelligence Organization, and Turkish National Police Departments were attacked. The Police Special Operations Center, the crucial counter-terrorism operational body of the Turkey in Ankara, was bombed by fighter jets, killing 55 police officers and injuring hundreds on the spot. Hundreds of the civilians protesting the coup attempt in Ankara and Istanbul were shot to death. The FETÖ coup plotters targeted public and private communication outlets, including TRT, which is a state broadcasting channel, and CNN Türk TV. On that sinister night, I was at the premises of the Turkish parliament when we learned that the bloody-minded terrorists were trying to capture TRT. Mr. Süleyman Soylu, now he is Turkish Minister of the Interior, and I drove there to defend our national broadcasting channel in order to curb disinformation attempts of the FETÖ. With the brave stance of the Turkish people against the coup plotters, we were able to prevent the capture of TRT by those heinous perpetrators. I can say that we may have experienced the longest night ever on 15 July 2016. However, during those tough times, it was important to witness the sincere support of our true friends. In this regard, I would like to stress that the visit of Chinese Vice Minister of Foreign Affairs, His Excellency Jiang Ming, to Turkey in a short span of time after the foiled coup attempt is still and will always be remembered by Turkish nation. China, at a critical juncture, stood by the democratically elected Turkish government and the people. Ladies and gentlemen, to judge the deeds of the Fethullah Gülen and FETÖ only with what transpired on the July 15 would be a mistake. The crimes committed on the night of July 15 were just the tip of an iceberg. It all started under the guise of charitable education efforts back in the 1970s. Fethullah Gülen and his followers disguised themselves as a benign education movement when they started the campaign of establishing schools in Turkey and later around the world. The organization gradually turned into a secretive operational structure aiming to transform the society by taking control of the Turkish state from within. During the time, the FETÖ members managed to staff at critical governmental posts, kept their indoctrination up to date, and passed on the instructions of FETÖ. When the organization started meddling the business transactions and government tender processes, it became more affluent, laundering enormous sums of money, arranging illegal transfer of cash, and other financial crimes became business as usual. Ladies and gentlemen, in this point, FETÖ is present in around 160 countries with thousands of schools, businesses, NGOs, and media houses. Their modus operandi is the same all around the world, as they aim to infiltrate and enlarge their global economic and political influence. They constitute a direct security menace for any country. In terms of their reach, FETÖ is unprecedented. Any country in the world, including China, should not be safe haven for FETÖ members. This malicious terrorist organization poses threats for not only Turkey, but also the countries where they can actively operate. In this regard, we request our Chinese interlocutors and the friends to be vigilant against FETÖ terrorist organization and continue cooperating with Turkey. I would like to reiterate that when the future of the Turkish nation is at stake, our brave people always defend their country at the cost of their own life. Accordingly, on the night of the 15th July, Turkish nation created a legend. Our people fought for the democracy without hesitation, stood in front of the tanks, lost their precious lives, and won the battle against this evil organization. Ladies and gentlemen and dear friends, on this occasion, I would like to briefly touch upon Turkish-Chinese bilateral relations also. Thanks to the joint visions and understanding of President Mr. Recep Tayyip Erdogan and President Mr. Xi Jinping, Turkish-Chinese strategic cooperative relations is strengthening in all walks of life. In a nutshell, on the political pillar, President Erdogan and President Xi met 8 times in 5 years. On the trade pillar, economy side, China is Turkey's largest trade partner in Asia. Bilateral trade volume reached $21 billion in 2019. The number of entrepreneurs doing businesses is increasing in both ways. On the people-to-people ties, thanks to the joint efforts, the numbers of Chinese tourists exceeded 500,000 in 2019. On the revival of the ancient Silk Road, Turkey and China have been working closely to harmonize the Middle Corridor Initiative and the Belt and the Road Initiative, where the western and the eastern gates of the ancient Silk Road will be tied again. We are also happy to see that Turkish-Chinese cooperation is developing in line with Turkey's Asia Anew initiative, as announced by our Foreign Minister Çavuşoğlu last year. Since the beginning of the COVID-19 outbreak, the solidarity between our countries also showed us that Turkey and China are real and war friends. The year 2020 marks the 10th anniversary of the establishment of strategic cooperative relations between Turkey and China, and 2021 is the 5th anniversary of the establishment of diplomatic relations. Given our countries' shared vision for a peaceful and prosperous global order, and I'm highly confident that Turkey and China will enjoy a much closer friendship in the future. I believe that intellectual exchanges between the two countries are essential for bolstering the mutual understanding of our peoples. Therefore, our embassy will continue encouraging and supporting the events such as today's webinar to engage more and more. Once again, I wish the success of this webinar, and also thank you very much for your kind attention. I'm ready to listen our colleagues from both China in Shanghai and also from Turkey, Mr. Çağrıhan. Thank you very much, Ali, at this point, please.
Ambassador, thank you very much for this insightful speech. I'm sure people, even in the Chinese audience who doesn't know the FETÖ, I'm sure they have better understanding of this terrorist organization. You also mentioned that this terrorist organization have been operating over 100 countries, which is significant number. And Professor Çağrı Erhan will also address this issue and elaborate this topic, FETÖ's operation in different countries as a global terrorist organization. But before they move on, I would like to give floor to the Professor Guo Changgang. He's director of Center for Global Studies at Chinese University, and he's very familiar with Turkey. He has been in Turkey many times. He has articles about Turkey, and especially not only Turkey, also in the Middle East. And now he will look at from the international relations perspective and foreign interventions in the Middle East and Turkey's July 15 experience. Professor Guo, please welcome. The floor is yours, sir.
Okay, thanks again, Ms. Ali. I want to share my points about foreign interventions in Middle East. Turkey's July 15th experience as a special case. We all know that outside players are always the important actors for the regional stability and geopolitical securities in the Middle East region. among all the outside players, United States is most active, most influential one. Say, since AKP came to power in the beginning of the new century, Turkey has been trying to pursue a more independent foreign policy. To me, I always think like this, or try to pursue a strategic autonomy from the Western or NATO bloc. Definitely, United States does not want this. See, the failed coup of July 15th is, from different perspectives, one of the plans that the United States prepared to change the Turkish government, though, United States never admit, always deny. Since the failed coup, there were great changes in the foreign policies and also some political changes in Turkey. Say, the referendum for constitution revision in April of 2017, the shift to presidency, etc. All these kind of changes seems unacceptable to the United States. We witnessed the US sanctions on Turkey. Say, August 1st, 2018, US Ministry of Finance declared sanctions upon 2 Turkish high officials because of the American pastor Andrew Bronson. And August 10th, 2018, US President Donald Trump to declare high tariff on Turkish iron and aluminum, to raise the tariff up to 50% and 20% respectively. This kind of economic war, economic sanctions, caused the steep fall of Turkish lira. August 11th, President Erdogan published article on New York Times. The title, "How Turkey Sees the Crisis with the United States." This article very important. We Chinese scholars read very much about this article. It's very popular in China. In that article, President Erdogan said, if United States does not change their policies, its policies toward Turkey, actually take Turkey as enemy, Turkey will try to find new friends. I think this is very important. And some think tanks, specialists on bilateral relations between Turkey and the United States began to worry about Turkey will leave the Western bloc. They worry about Washington if can afford to lose Turkey. Actually, there is an article on Washington Post, August 15th, 2018, by Matthew Bruza, the US can't afford to lose Turkey. Just a few days ago, I read a report entitled Turkey's NATO Future. Turkey's NATO Future. This report, published by DIIS, Danish Institute of International Studies. In this report, one point, it holds that the repercussion of the failed coup is one of the 4 cases that have raised the question about Turkey's NATO future. To me, by linking the repercussion of failed coup to Turkey's NATO future, it implies that the interventions from the US, from the Western allies, Turkey, the intervention about Turkey's domestic politics. Now, Turkish-US relations are strained over multiple issues, say including Turkey's acquisition of Russia's S-400 anti-missile defense system, its close cooperation with Russia and Iran, and the continued presence in the US of Fethullah Gulen, etc. Behind all the spate, we need to understand the nature of the tension between Turkey and the US. I think it is very important how Turkish people, how Turkish government look at the US intervention. Again, I'd like to cite President Erdogan's article, the title, How Turkey Sees the Crisis with the US. It's really a crisis, I think. It's the intervention, not normal bilateral relations. We all know that during the Cold War, the US actually took Turkey as a tool to continue to against Soviet Union. After the Cold War, Turkey seemed lost the importance, geopolitical importance to the United States. So since 1996, no matter which party, which group, secular group, or Islamic elite wanted to talk about collaborations with the United States always deny, refusal. No matter official meetings or informal meetings, United States always talk about the conflicts, tensions between Turkey, Cyprus, the conflicts on Aegean Sea, or the Kurdish issue, human rights issue, and so on. Actually, United States no longer want to take any more responsibilities, say, to its former ally, Turkey. But so, in 1997, December 1997, the former president, the Biden US President Bill Clinton, declared that United States want EU to take in Turkey. So Turkey became the candidate of EU since 1999. So to me, I want to look at the candidates of the EU to the EU of Turkey actually is some kind of shift of responsibility of the United States. United States do not no longer want to take the responsibility for Turkey, so just want to shift to shirk to evade the responsibility. And now what next? The bilateral relations between Turkey and US. Now there is a saying that Turkey will go back to the US, actually to strengthen the US, the bilateral relations with the US. Nowadays, social media is full of stories that President Erdogan frequently make phone calls to Donald Trump, to Trump. By saying this, I want to say that we Chinese scholars really concerned about this this sign if Turkey will go back to United States, to the US. The going back to the US of Turkey, that means that Turkey is most likely to be a tool of the United States to contain China. That will hurt China-Turkey relations. And another sign of evidence that in the last May, the demotion of the resignation of the Chief of Staff of the Turkish Navy, Admiral Yayıcı, has led to questions whether Turkish government is distancing itself from Euro-Asianist figures. Euro-Asianist figures to mend ties with its Western partners, as Yayıcı is believed to be an anti-Western Eurasianist who advocates closer Turkish relations with Russia and China. So we, at least me myself, really concerned about this. To sum up, what I want to emphasize here is that be careful. Don't forget the failed coup. At this special moment, the 4th anniversary of failed coup, don't forget it. Don't forget the foreign interventions. The intervention from the United States is intervention, not normal bilateral relations. For Turkey, if it wanted to play a bigger role in the regional, in the region, Middle East region, I think it is important to keep strategic autonomy, to keep an independent diplomacy anyway, to keep far away from the intervention of the United States. Thank you.
Dear Professor, thank you very much for this extensive remarks. Actually, you have started from the beginning of the AK parties came in power in the early 2020s, and you say that the AK Party, during the AK Party era, Turkish foreign policy become more and more independent, and this also one of the reason between the current problems and Turkey and US. And you also clearly said that July 15, even though the US is not admitting its role, July 15 coup attempt was clear intervention of the Turkey's domestic politics and foreign policy by US. So, and I thank you very much for your kind words. And I personally don't think that no one in Turkey will never forget the July 15 and who is and that night who supported Turkey and who were against the Turkey and the Turkish public. Thank you very much for this kind reminding. And now I would like to give floor to the Professor Çağrı Erhan, and he's gonna address FETÖ's activities not only in US and Turkey, in other countries as well, because as the ambassador mentioned that they have been operating over 100 countries, and they've been acting like a global terrorist organization. And Mr. Professor Çağrı Erhan will elaborate this topic. Professor, floor is yours. Thank you.
Dear Mr. Ünal, Your Excellency, Ambassador of Turkey in Beijing, Ambassador Emin Önen, dear professors from Shanghai, I would like to extend warmest greetings from Istanbul. When I was listening to Ambassador Önen, I also recall my memory about the night of 15th and 16th July 2016. It was indeed the longest night I ever lived throughout my life. It was the heroic resistance of Turkish people under the strong leadership of President Erdogan against a coup attempt. We have given more than 250 martyrs and more than 2,200 people injured during this coup attempt. I, as the rector of the university, called the university senate to an urgent meeting.
It's 15 hours.
With the first lights of the 16th of July. It was a day the bombings of the terrorist so-called soldiers was continuing. The tanks still were on the streets, and our university became the first university who strongly condemned the coup and called all academic staff to stand with the democratically elected government. Therefore, this coup attempt was stopped by the people of Turkey. That should be underlined every time we commemorate this issue. FETÖ, the Fethullah terrorist organization, is a new generation terrorist organization. So when compared to previous types of terrorist organizations, there are similar issues, overlapping issues, but there are some highly diverting subjects when analyzing this terrorist organization. First of all, it is not a local or a regional terrorist organization. It is a global, worldwide terrorist organization. When we go back to late 1960s, it was established in Turkey. Throughout 1970s and 1980s, it continued its particularly educational activities, established schools in many cities of Turkey, and started to educate and brainwash the young people. Starting from 1990, the terrorist organization started to obtain some financial and commercial companies, some media companies, and tried to act like a so-called civil society organization. 1990s is a turning point in the history of this terrorist organization. Because as everyone knows, in 1989, the Berlin Wall fell and the Cold War ended. And this terrorist organization started to enlarge its area of influence out of Turkey. Particularly, they targeted the former Soviet republics, Central Asia, Russia, and the Balkans. Starting from 2000s, they also started to target the African countries. When we came to 2016, just the day of the coup, they had more than 400 schools and institutions extended to 5 countries, from South America to Australia, from Africa to Asia and Europe. They had more than 1,200 so-called civil society organizations, media organizations, financial organizations, and these all groupings created a huge power in the hands of FETÖ terrorist organization. This terrorist organization's leader is hosted by the United States in Pennsylvania for more than 20 years now. According to US law, his position is illegal, but no US authority is starting any legal action against him. After the coup, many members of FETÖ terrorist organization escaped illegally from Turkey to European countries or the United States. And since 4 years, none of them were legally given back to Turkey, despite Turkey's continuous activities for legal extraction. Particularly, it is an important indicator that this terrorist organization has links with some intelligence organizations, is that in some European countries, the members of FETÖ who actively involved in the coup attempt were tried in courts and then released, and they were given a right to live in this country or European countries. For example, 7 members of FETÖ organization who tried to assassinate President Erdogan on 15th July and then escaped by an army helicopter to Greece were tried and then released and were given asylum to live in this European country. This and many others are clear indicators how this organization, terrorist organization, is involved with many countries, not only in Africa and Asia, but also in the center of Europe. This illegal organization, in many cases, poses itself as a religious or a civil society movement. Therefore, this so-called peaceful appearance is used to give them a shelter in many countries. They are abusing the law, they are abusing the free system in many countries. But this is not their only tactic. They use abusing many times, but when we focus on their strategy and when we go deep into the structure of this terrorist organization, we see a very different, complicated, and complex type of organization. The core of the tactics of FETÖ is the schools all around the world. More than 100 countries, more than almost 1,000 schools and institutions. Why they established schools in countries of Africa, or in countries of Central Asia, or in Afghanistan, or in Pakistan? The main argument is if they can brainwash the younger generations, then after they graduate from the school, when they become a bureaucrat, when they become a politician, when they become a businessman, they can serve, they can be used to serve to FETÖ terrorist organization. This is the long-lasting and highly important aspect of the organization. Without understanding this, we cannot understand how dangerous is this organization. Can you imagine? They first started to give the seeds to the soil in late 60s, in 70s, in 80s, in 90s, they developed everywhere. And after 90s, they start to use the bureaucrats in many countries. They started to use the politicians in many countries to open the doors for their heinous activities in these countries and worldwide. Particularly today, they try to collect the benefits of their investment. How? After the coup attempt, Turkey started to increase its diplomatic relations with many countries and asked the Turkey's friends all around the world to close down the FETÖ schools, to close down the civil society, so-called civil society, terrorist branches, and media companies. Many countries replied Turkey positively, and we are very grateful to them. From Azerbaijan to Russia to Pakistan, in many countries, those heinous institutions were completely closed and they were given to Turkey. Turkey established Turkish Maarif organization, Maarif Foundation, which is an educational foundation, and more than 400 previously FETÖ schools were given to Maarif organization. But in some countries, unfortunately, this Turkey's initiative continuously blocked by bureaucrats and some politicians. When we trace back their education, we see the reality of FETÖ schools. Either the bureaucrats, politicians themselves, or their relatives, or their children were graduated from FETÖ schools, or still being educated by FETÖ schools, or they were given jobs in FETÖ institutions. So FETÖ used this educational system and civil society organizations as a tool of bribery to many bureaucrats and politicians. So whatever you do, whatever evidence you sent them about their linkage with the coup attempt in Turkey and their terrorist activities, they just close their eyes and they play the blind monkey. Another tactic of FETÖ organization all around the world is that they turn their institutions into multinational corporations. They never hand the share of the corporation or institution or the school in one hand, not in a Turkish citizen hand only, but they deliver the shares to many other countries' citizens. For example, a member from a European country, a member from an African country, a member from Turkey, I mean the member of terrorist organization, they establish a corporation in an African country and they are acting like the owner of a school or owner of a media company. So when Turkey asks this country to close down this terrorist organization school, then this country say, Okay, but this is not a terrorist organization school. It is a multinational corporation. So they use these legal maneuvers effectively. We have to be open-minded and we have to open our eyes and use the same legal power against them, because this is not legal, this is just abuse of law in many countries. Therefore, educational institutions has of critical importance in FETÖ structure, both in recruitment of militants and in financial terms. What we should do afterwards? I mean, it's now more than 4 years after the failed coup attempt, but we have to take more actions to cope with this global terrorist threat. First of all, we should keep in mind that Turkey has called all of the countries to drive down the financial and human resources of the terrorist organization. Some countries continuously reject these proposals and demands from Turkey. Unfortunately, Turkey's ally in NATO and our close friend in many politics, United States, demanded more and more evidence throughout 4 years from Turkey to take any action, legal action against this terrorist organization's leader. And Turkey gave thousands of documents, which without any question proves the 100% linkage between this terrorist leader, his disciples, his members, and with the coup attempt, and many other terrorist activities in Turkey, all around the world. Unfortunately, the Department of Justice in the United States, neither during Obama times nor during Trump times, took any action against them. So they continue to operate, but it is not limited with this country. In many European countries, particularly in Germany and France and Greece and in UK, these terrorist organizations' members are walking on the streets, feel very secure. They establish new institutions in these countries. They transfer money. They illegally collect money from their so-called members and transfer this money for terrorist activities, and they finance all kinds of activities against Turkey, Turkish elected government, President Erdogan, in social media, in press, and they support all kinds of communicational activities against Turkey. For instance, look, the so-called TV series are shown in many networks of movies, particularly after the coup attempt. Many of these TV series are put inside some scenarios about how innocent are the members of terrorist organization and how dangerous is the Turkish government. All of them are financially sponsored by terrorist organization. And they try to just change the minds of people around the world against Turkey and against themselves. So in order to be successful against this terrorist organization, countries like China, Turkey's friends around the world must cooperate to drive down the financial roots and institutional existence of this terrorist organization. Otherwise, if we cannot stop them around the world, our children will face the same threat in the coming years. And we should not forget those organizations, all terrorist organizations in the world, without the support of foreign intelligence, they cannot survive. And in first hand, they serve for foreign countries' targets. They are tools. So if we want to get rid of these negative effects of some other countries' organizations over our interstate relations, then we have to first drive down this terrorist organization and other terrorist organizations like PKK, like PYD, YPG, because they are all in the same basket. I would like to thank to Presidential Directorate for Communications for this timely organization. And I would like to thank all staff making this webinar possible. And I wish God will not show us another 15th of July. Thank you.
Dear Professor, thank you very much for this extensive cover-up, Professor. If we need to summarize, Professor Çağlayan just underlined that the FETÖ is a new generation of terrorist organization. He described the FETÖ like the new generation of terrorist organization which use civil society, peace, and which express themselves, which shows themselves as a peaceful organizations and turn their institution as multinational companies and using the educational institutions, so on, so on. Thank you very much. It's very comprehensive understanding, comprehensive explanation, and it is very useful to have a better understanding of this international organization. Now I would like to move on to the bilateral relations perspective with Professor Liu Yi from the Department of History, Shanghai University. Now, he will address about Turkish-Chinese relations, as well as cooperation between two countries within the Belt and Road project. Professor, please welcome.
Okay, thanks, moderator. Thanks, panelist members. Thanks for the invitation and the organization. Actually, as there have been many discussions about the bilateral relationship between China and Turkey, together with the Belt and Road Initiative, today I would like to focus more on the people-to-people exchange dimension, plus some personal experience and observation. On July 15th, 2016, when the coup d'etat happened, it is just 1 month actually before I finished my term as a Chinese director of Confucius Institute at Boğaziçi University. So I became one of the few Chinese who witnessed the subsequent scenes in the following days, though I did not have any special channel to touch the internal procedure of the government. During my stay in Istanbul from 2013 to 2016, in addition to the routine work of Confucius Institute, I committed to developing Turkish studies at Shanghai University, as well as the academic exchange between China and Turkey. Among all, I co-edited with Professor Chang Guo the annual report of Turkey's development. I also helped organize a conference on the 80th anniversary of Sinology in Turkey, together with the Chinese embassy in Ankara. And through this, I was called a Turkey expert when I came back to China. After 2016, there was a big progress of the bilateral relationship between China and Turkey. Just a few days after the coup d'etat, Vice Minister Zhang Ming visited Turkey, while most Western countries were still questioning Turkey's government behavior. And later that year, Shanghai University also had the chance to host some high-level visits from Turkey to explain the recent events. Later that, Ambassador Emin Anan also paid a visit to Shanghai University in 2018, when I just appointed as the Deputy Director of International Office. During the first Belt and Road Summit in Beijing in 2017, President Erdogan paid a visit, and his image was highlighted in media, which also represented one of the most important moments of China-Turkey relations. Turkey's Middle Corridor Plan corresponds to the Belt and Road Initiative very well. And Turkey's Foreign Minister, Mevlut Çavuşoğlu, also promised to his Chinese counterpart, Wang Yi, that Turkey would like to work with China against terrorism. All these are great news to clear away the shadow of the failed missile contract in 2015, as well as the anti-China demonstrations in 2014. However, there is still a long way to go with regard to the bilateral relationship between China and Turkey. In particular, besides the formal diplomatic relations, more and more people-to-people exchange should be developed. In my personal experience, there have been many cultural events between the two countries, such as the Writers' Forum, the Book Fair, art exhibition, etc. But these events can only touch a very limited population. Among the common people from both sides, there are many misunderstandings or just ignorance for most of the time. Both China and Turkey looked to the West for civilizations since the modern times. This helped the modernization process in both countries and also left a prejudice regarding each other's image. As most Chinese know Turkey via English media or publications, it is also true for Turkish to look at China. When they got some facts, question marked, about each other, they were also influenced by the bias and the prejudice from the English media. These were really unfortunate news to the bilateral understanding. But there are also some positive developments. Like in 2017, the China's Ministry of Education proposed a new initiative, the people-to-people exchange. In Chinese, it's called 人文交流, to express China's new diplomatic thinking in addition to formal diplomacy. It can be compared to track to diplomacy, public diplomacy, people's diplomacy, etc. However, as a new term, it has a deeper root from China's cultural tradition. Actually, it can be traced back to a quotation in the Book of Changes, and has a holistic, comprehensive understanding to express bilateral relations. It has a strong cultural perspective, but it's not limited to culture sphere. In short, it is human-centered, and it also highlights a communication style based on cultural traditions instead of a modern international system. Now, there have been 10 high-level people-to-people exchange platforms, including China-Russia, China-EU, China-US, China-UK, China-France, China-Germany, China-Japan, China-India, China-Indonesia, and China-South Africa. I would like to see a China-Turkey people-to-people exchange platform to be established in the near future. As President Xi Jinping said, state-to-state relationship is based on people-to-people exchange. And the people-to-people exchange is based on heart-to-heart communication. China and Turkey are two great players along the Silk Road, and the historical inspiration will bridge the two countries again in the new context. However, due to the long distance between each other, there's a long way to go with people-to-people exchange, as well as heart-to-heart communication. Here in particular, I would like to highlight the importance of academic exchange during our bilateral relationship. There have been 4 Confucius Institutes in Turkey, which became a window for the local people to know China. And there have been more than 5 Turkish study centers in the prominent universities in China, such as Pekin University, Nankai University, Shanxi Normal University, and sure, most important, Shanghai University. And actually, Shanghai University has become a main destination of Turkish students in China. This year, I had an experience among so many webinars. We have one oral defense meeting of our PhD students. So that evening, we had 5 PhD candidates in total, and follow them from Turkey. Also, my own students, my own doctoral students who just came back from Turkey yesterday, and now it's locked down in Shanghai after 1 year's exchange study in Istanbul. In 2019, actually, it's nearly at the end of last year, the National Science Foundation of China and the TÜBİTAK also signed the MOU of mutual cooperation. And the first group of projects has just been announced with a special focus on counter-pandemic issues. For the future, I would like to propose a few areas to be further development. Especially the ambassador has mentioned the next year will be the 50th anniversary of our former diplomatic relationship. So I do hope we can take the great opportunity to organize some events together, such as the annual meeting of think tanks from both sides, the cooperation network of Chinese and Turkish universities, to set a circular scholarship to support students for mutual exchange and study, media communication between both sides, as well as cultural affairs in both sides. Last but not least, as Shanghai University has been playing a little role in this mutual cooperation, in the future, we would like to take the lead in the relevant fields as well. Thank you. I should stop here.
Professor Liu, I personally would like to thank you. I mean, this is you looked at the bilateral relations from the real different subject, which is people-to-people exchanges, and you also underline the importance of this subject. People-to-people exchange platform, yes, I mean, significantly important. You also came up with the ideas for the next year, and I would like to thank you. Like, I mean, think tank cooperation, media cooperation, cultural co-hosting cultural events, and these are really significant contributions. I'd like to thank you. Now we have completed the first round. In the second round, we can move on the second round now. In this round, I will give 5 minutes to each speakers to widen their arguments and discussions. And if you would like to add anything else. And after that, at the end of these speeches, Ambassador, His Excellency Ambassador Ronen will also give some closing remarks, and we will conclude the event. So now I would like to start with Professor Guo. Sir, would you like to add anything else?
No, thanks. I really appreciate this opportunity to exchange ideas, especially, you know, this special moment, and I think it's very important to understand each other for the future collaborations. Thank you for organizing this event.
Thank you. If you allow me, I would like to ask a small question, actually. I mean, Professor Çağrı Erhan explained all of to us the FETÖ is new kind of terrorist organization, and they have been using civil society, education, so on, so on. I mean, not only FETÖ, not the same organization, but do you think that the Chinese society and the Chinese government is under threat of similar kind of terrorist organization, which also funded by other countries, supported by other countries? What's your thought about it?
Could me because the voice not very weak.
Okay.
Could me? Yeah. Could you please get closer to the microphone?
Yeah, sure. To cut it short, I was saying that, do you think that Chinese society or the Chinese government is under threat of any kind of organization that have been using similar tools with FETÖ, like using civil society, like using peaceful organizations, educational centers, so on, so on. Do you think there's a kind of threat for China?
You mean the Fethullah Gulen organization to use some tools, say education or others? You mean Fethullah Gulen?
Yeah, not exactly Fethullah Gulen, but similar terrorist organization.
Sorry. Maybe I need a.
Anyway, while we are waiting, maybe we can move on to Professor Çağrı Erhan, and we can come back to Mr. Go. Dear Professor, would you like to have anything? Yes. Yes, Professor, would you like to have anything else, or can we just move on to the Professor Çağrı Erhan? I think there's a problem of hearing. Okay, I will move on. Thank you very much. Professor, would you like to have anything else?
Yes, international threats to peace and security and stability can be solved only by international cooperation. Since 2013, Turkey took a lot of actions against this FETÖ organization, particularly after the coup attempt in 2016. Their institutions, their schools, their corporations were closed down. Many members of this terrorist organization were tried and now sentenced, and they are now under arrest. But Turkey's individual, local efforts to stop down this global terrorist organization cannot create a global effect. Therefore, in order to stop this dangerous organization to become a threat to many countries' stabilities all around the world, we urge all countries to come and hold Turkey's hand for more cooperation. As I mentioned in my speech, this is not a classical type or a custom type terrorist organization. This is a new generation terrorist organization. In order to stop this, we should also know their tactics, and we should use some unconventional ways, of course, within the framework of law, unconventional ways to stop them. Particularly, after the coup attempt, we realized they are using more and more as a tool for their terrorist activities, for their propaganda, the new media. Social media, the movies, even the games which children are. We should not forget, the terrorist for a country must not be a friend of another. Terrorist is a terrorist in one country and in another country and in the global level. If we, as the countries, as the states of the world, feel for some terrorists as a friend, and if you continue to support them, as a boomerang effect, these terrorist friends will one day come to our country and threaten our stability, economy, and the future of our children. Therefore, terrorist is a terrorist everywhere. We should flourish more cooperation in global level for stopping this FETÖ terrorist organization and all other terrorist organizations, as I mentioned, like PKK and PYD and YPG and other terrorist organizations. I once more would like to thank for giving me this opportunity for this very fruitful and timely organization.
Thank you very much, dear Professor. Professor Lee, do you have any closing remarks, sir? Would you like to add anything else?
No, thanks.
Thank you very much for your contribution once again. You have underlined people-to-people importance of people-to-people exchange to enhance the bilateral relations. Now, I would like to ask Mr. Ambassador, sir, would you like to have any closing remarks? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ali. And first of all, I would like to thank and sincere congratulations for all participants for daring their valuable views. And also I want to thank the Directorate of Communications who prepared this useful webinar. And I want to thank to Mr. Çağrı Erhan, Professor Erhan, his comprehensive and extensive explanations about the structure of this movement, this terrorist organization. It's very useful, I think. And also, as a person, as a citizen of Turkey, and an ordinary citizen who went out with the Turkish people and to defend our country on that night, on that bloody night, 15th of July, I would like to say that this coup attempt and this malign, this malicious structure is not only an attempt against the elected president or elected government, they are also against for the democracy, they are also against for the people of Turkey. And so it is very important that this is understood correctly in all of the societies in the world. So in this webinar is very good, timely, and on hope everybody benefits of this webinar. And we will tell the facts in every opportunity. We will tell what happened 4 years ago in Turkey. So finally, once again, I want to thank to all participants and all friends. Thank you very much for your kind attention.
Thank you very much, Ambassador. And now I would like to thank you, all the speakers, for their insightful and enlightening speeches. And on behalf of the Directorate of Communication, I would like to thank once again for your participation, and we are concluding today's webinar. Thank you again.